coming to the mat, we're going to start in a seated position, sitting up nice and tall. I think we should start with one knee bent and one leg straight, just so we can start warming up the hamstrings a bit and let them stretch out. So I'm going to start with my left leg bent and my right leg nice and straight. And I want to make sure that I'm on my sit bones, that my pelvis isn't tucked under. I don't want to be sitting back on my pockets. I want to be sitting up as tall and as long as I can. So stretching the spine nice and long towards the ceiling. Arms are going to come to the front, and we're going to tilt the hips back. Now, as I tilt the hips back, my shoulders don't glide back. I just want to move the hips and the lumbar spine. So I slide those shoulders down, I tilt the hips back, I pull ribs and abs in as I pull my belly to my back, and then rise. Nice and long, nice and tall. And that right leg is reaching forward, stretching out nice and long across the mat. And my upper back, the shoulders are staying flat and kind of broad, so I'm not collapsing the chest and rounding the shoulders. Upper back is flat and strong as I tilt the hips back. On my next one, I'm going to roll back a little bit. So tilting the hips back, creating that C-curve, and then begin to curl and roll back. I'm going to go back about a quarter, halfway, and pause for that breath. Pull the abdominals in, and then curl and roll forward, sitting up, sitting tall. Exhale, hips tilt back, and we curl and roll back, articulating along the spine, pausing for that breath, and then fold and curl, rolling up, and we'll reset. Let's change legs. We're going to go left leg now nice and straight. Right knee is going to be bent. And we readjust the hips to make sure that we're seated up tall, up out of those sit bones. Left leg is stretching out nice and long. And we're back to that pelvic tilt, creating that C-curve. We're going to tilt the hips back. And then slow as we come up, sitting nice and tall. Exhale, hips tilt back. And rising nice and tall. It's all about the hips tilting, the low back creating some flexion, some stretch, and feeling that engagement in the mid and upper back. To keep the upper back nice and strong. On our next one, we'll start that roll back. We'll tilt the hips back, and we'll curl and roll back. Glide the shoulders down. Don't let the head go forward. You roll back about a quarter, halfway, and then fold and curl. Rolling and curling up, sitting up, stretching tall, and hips tilt, and begin to curl and roll back. Rolling all the way along the spine, about halfway. Pressing and reaching that left leg forward as you curl and roll up. And then we'll sit up and sit tall. Let's take both feet, both legs mat width apart. We're going to flex at the ankle to pull the foot back towards the shin. And I'm stretching, kind of drawing the legs back, so I'm back on those sit bones after those pelvic tilts, so I don't keep the pelvis tucked under. Arms are going to come to the front, and we're going to go chin to chest, forward fold. We're curling and rolling forward. Chest does not collapse as we curl and roll forward. If you can reach your toes, great. Draw the foot back. Don't just pull on the toes. Make sure you get some movement at the ankle joint as you bring the whole foot back towards the shin, back towards the knee. And we're pausing for that breath. I now want to draw the shoulders down, stretch the neck nice and long. Feel the press of the back of the legs down against the mat for that extra stretch. And then slowly restacking the spine, sitting up longer, stretching taller up towards the ceiling as I drop the shoulders down. Feel that tension through the mid-back as all of those muscles around the shoulder girdle start to fire and engage for that upper back support. And we go chin to chest, forward fold, curling and rolling forward, drawing the foot back towards the shin. You can take hold. No worries if you can't reach your feet. If you can just grab the thigh or the shin to just bring you forward more. Try to round you over the legs, still pressing the back of the legs down, creating more hinge at the ankle as you press the back of the knees down for that extra stretch. And then curling and restacking. Sitting up nice and tall, nice and long. Drop those shoulders. Last forward stretch. We're curling forward, reaching out as long as you can. Each one should get a little bit easier as you press and reach into that stretch. Hinging at the ankle to draw the foot back as you press the back of the knees down. Shoulders glide down the back. Hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And curl and restack. Sitting up nice and tall, nice and long. We're going to bring legs together, point the toes, full roll up. We tilt the hips back. Drop into that C curve. And we're going to curl and roll back along the mat, vertebra by vertebra, tilting the hips as we curl and roll down. Head comes to the mat. The arms reach up overhead, minus the rib cage flare. And inhale, arms flow forward. Head, neck, chest begins to lift as we fold deep at the mid-ribs to draw the abdominals up and in. And we're going to curl and roll. Stretching out nice and long over the legs, staying in this rounded position, and we're going to curl and roll back, gliding those shoulders down the back, hugging the underarms down the rib cage, trying to imprint each piece of the back on the mat as we roll down and pulling up off the mat, vertebra by vertebra. Rounding and curling, reaching out nice and long, stretching the spine and the legs. Last one, keeping the neck long as you curl and roll back. Rib cage knits in. And inhale, arms flow forward. We're lifting the head, neck, and chest. We're folding deep at the mid-ribs as we curl and roll up. And we stretch and lengthen out long over the legs. Curl and restacking the back, sitting up nice and tall, nice and long. Let's reset the legs and the hips. So I'm going to go back to straight legs, but legs are pulled together. We're flexed at the ankle to pull the top of the foot back. And again, check to make sure that your hips aren't tucked under from those roll-ups. We're going to go arms out to a T position, palms up, and we're going to twist through the mid-ribs, and we're going to twist to the right. Sitting up tall, we twist 1, 2. Coming through to center, we twist to the left, double pulse, keeping the arms open and spreading wide. The arms don't come in front of your chest. They reach out farther and longer. Sitting up nice and tall, stretching long towards the ceiling. Reach those legs out farther. One more each side. And arms come forward. We bring chin to chest, forward fold. Reach out long over the legs. Reach for the feet. Draw the foot back towards the knee, press the knees down. Draw the shoulders down, away from the ears, away from the neck. Feel the weight of your sit bones pressing down into the mat. And 3, 2, 1. Curling and rolling up, sitting tall. We'll take our straight leg position, mat width apart once again. Still hinged at the ankle to draw the foot back towards the shin. We're going to work into a bit of our saw movement. Arms are going to come out to a T position. I start palms facing forward. And we're going to sit tall. Stretch the legs long. Twisting to the right, that left arm is going to come across the body, reaching towards the outside of your right foot. As your right hand internally rotates to go palm up towards the ceiling, and we're going to roll forward, stretching forward over that right leg, but push that left hip down against the mat. Extend the spine, lengthen forward, sitting up, sitting tall, we unwind, and we twist to the left, bringing that right arm cross body, reaching for the outside of that left foot. Left arm rotates to go palm up, and we roll forward. Weight the right hip as you roll forward over that left leg, and then we extend the back, flatten the back, and sit up, sit tall, and we'll switch, go back to the right side. Twist, roll forward and reach. Arms reach the opposite way as you round over that right leg, and then extend the spine, flatten the back. On that forward hinge, sitting up, we unwind and twist to the left. Roll and reach. Arms reach the opposite direction as you weight that right hip, rounding the back, and then when you're ready, extend, flatten the back, weight the right hip, sit up, sit tall. Let's do one more each side. Arms reach opposite directions as you roll forward, and then extend the back. Sitting up nice and tall, we unwind, arms to a T, twist to the left, and roll forward. Reaching out over that left leg, arms reach away, and we flatten the back. Extend the spine, sit up, sit tall. Arms come back to the T as you twist to center, and we'll reach the arms forward, chin to chest, forward fold, rolling and reaching out through the legs. Take hold of the feet. Draw the foot back towards the shin, towards the knees. And stretching the legs, feeling that stretch run up the entire back of the body from the heels to the crown of the head. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Curling up, sitting up, nice and tall, restacking the back, drop the shoulders down. We'll bring our legs together, point the toes, tilt the hips, and we curl down to the mat. Nice flat back, rolling to the mat, all the way to the floor. We're going to bend the knees. I'm going to scoot down just a little bit more space on the mat for me. We're going to work into our shoulder bridges, our pelvic curls. Remember, you can do this with or without the spinal articulation. Knees are bent, feet are flat in line with your sit bones. And we're going to tilt the hips back to imprint the low back. Feel that hollowing, that scooping as you press through the feet and begin to lift the hips up. Sending the knees, the shins forward towards the toes. Pull the rib cage in. Next breath, next exhale, we curl down along the spine, along the rib cage, down the back piece by piece, all the way through to the tailbone, reaching the arms nice and long. Exhale, tilting back. Draw navel to spine, peel and curl up, rolling up to the top of that bridge as you knit the rib cage in. And then slow as you curl and articulate back down to your mat, segment by segment. Feeling that roll along the spine. Be mindful of the ribs wanting to flare and the back wanting to arch. You want to keep that connection from the rib cage up on the mat at the bottom of the movement. Curling and rolling up piece by piece. Feeling that nice stretch, that undulation along the spine as you roll up and down. And one more pelvic curl. Coming to a neutral spine, so you feel the weight across your pockets, and the hip bones and the pubic bone, they're all in the same alignment. You're not tilted back or overarched, you're on the same plane. The only time I would say go into a pelvic tilt a little bit is if you're feeling a lot of pressure on your low back or at your hip flexors. Tilting the hips back a little bit will decompress the low back for you as you pull the chest, the rib cage down and in. But I'm going to start from a neutral position. Fingers are going to interlace, bringing the hands behind the head. Let's warm up that mid-back for chest lifts. On the exhale, we fold at the mid-ribs to lift the head, neck, and chest. Pausing for that breath at the top. And then slow as you reset. And I feel the weight of my hips press down against the mat as I rock back to the floor, to keep me out of that extra extension as I reset to the mat. So I push the hips flat against the mat. I brace more through the abdominals on that exhale as I come back to the floor. The head is fully supported by the hands, so there's no need to pull the head and the neck forward. It's resting back into your hands, into your arms. And your arms are taking the full weight of your head and your neck. We want to find that nice deep fold across the bra line, just below the pecs, right there at the mid-ribs as we come up into the chest lift. So we can feel the chest being folded forward towards the hips, towards the thighs. Two more. Legs are nice and still and stable. And resetting back to the mat. Arms reach up overhead. I'm not going to bring them too low, because if I go all the way back to the mat, I get this extension, this rib flare. My lats take over, and it's going to be hard to jump start that chest lift. So I'm going to start with my arms up over the chest, bring them back towards the face, towards the ears, just a little bit, only to the point that I can keep those ribs knitted down and in. And then on the exhale, arms flow forward. We lift the head, neck, and chest, folding deep at the mid-ribs. And on the inhale, we go back for that reset. This is only one breath for this modified hundreds prep movement, folding deep at the mid-ribs. Reaching long with the arms, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. Arms are only lengthening down to the side of the body. They don't touch the mat. If my hands, my arms come all the way down and rest on the mat like this, shoulder rolls in, more stress at the neck. So I want to keep that parallel line to the floor. Heavy across the sockets, both right and left hips. Last one. Fingers interlace. We bring our hands behind the head to support the head, neck, and chest. And we're going to bring our legs to tabletop. Hug through inner thigh. Weight the hips. And exhale, fold and lift. Pausing for that breath at the top. And slow on the exhale to reset back to the floor. You can always bring the knees in closer to decompress the back. Add a little bit of flexion, a little pelvic tilt to the low back and to the pelvis. Ideally, we want to work from a neutral spine, from that 90-degree angle at the hip and at the knee. Last two chest lifts, staying in tabletop. And slow to reset to the mat, keeping the legs in tabletop. Arms are going to start, fingertips reaching straight up for the ceiling. And then exhale to press the arms down, lift the head, neck, and chest. And inhale, reset. You can always add light weights to this work, lightweight dumbbells. Or even if you have resistance bands or the resistance circles where you can pull apart as you press down. Last two. Reaching long with the arms, folding deep at the mid-ribs. We'll rest the shoulders, head back to the mat, draw the knees in towards the chest to stretch the back. And you can rock a little bit from hip to hip. Nice smooth movement from side to side. Draw the rib cage in. Flatten and stretch the spine along the mat across your floor. And we'll return to tabletop position. Fingers are going to interlace. Bring your hands back behind the head to support the head, neck, and chest. And we're going to straighten the legs forward and slightly up for the ceiling. I won't be all the way down at a 45. You could be vertical if that's easier. If your hamstrings are tight, unfortunately, you're stuck down a little lower. And on the exhale, we fold and lift. Head, neck, and chest. Reaching out nice and long with the legs. Slow for the reset. We're folding deep at the mid-ribs to lift the chest. Last two. And bend the knees. Bring the feet to the mat. Arms come out to a T position, reaching long, reaching wide. Let's twist the legs, the hips, the whole lower half of our spine over to the right as you look out over that left shoulder, that left arm. And exhale, bring the rib cage together as you pull your belly to your back, engaging the abdominals to the center. And then everything from mid-ribs down, twist to the left as your head and neck looks out to the right. Slow as you come back to center. One more each side. And we'll reset to the center. Arms come back up over the chest. Fingers are reaching for the ceiling. Let's bring our legs to tabletop position. We're going to add our double leg extensions to our hundreds movement. And on the exhale, arms come forward as we lift the head, neck, and chest, and we send the legs forward out over the mat. Slow to reset the legs and slow to reset the upper body. You can take it piece by piece. Arms, head, neck, chest, and then reach with the legs. Reset to tabletop and slow to unwind the upper body. Last 3. And arms come out to a T position, holding the legs in tabletop. We're going to go into our spine twist supine. Legs, hips, half of the back, twist to the right, picking up the left hip, but pressing the left shoulder blade flat against the mat. We exhale to draw ribs and abdominals back to center as we come to the middle with the legs. And we inhale to switch sides, picking up that right hip, but not the right shoulder blade. And back to center. Nice and smooth rotations through the mid-ribs across the bra line as you take the lower back, hips, and legs side to side. Nice smooth glide of the legs and the hips as you rock from side to side. Last one to the left. And we'll come to center, hug the knees in, sending the right leg nice and long out over the mat. And we'll stretch the spine. Let the collarbone spread wide. The shoulders flatten against the floor as you reach the right leg nice and long. And then we'll take that left leg cross body, and left arm is going to open out to a T as a counterweight. You're going to look out over that left shoulder, that left arm as the leg goes right. And slow as you unwind back to center. We'll hug both knees into the chest for a breath, and then send that left leg out across the mat, pressing it down to the floor. Drop the shoulders down, lengthen the neck. Let the collarbone open. And then we'll take that right leg across the body. Right arm goes out to a T. Twist the lower half to the left as you look out over that right arm, right shoulder. And slow to unwind. Both knees bend, placing the feet flat to the mat. Reset the back. Find that neutral spine, that little gap at the small of the back. And aligning the hip bones with the pubic bone for that level, neutral pelvis. Fingers interlace. We bring our hands behind the head to support the head and the neck. Pull the rib cage in. Exhale, we fold and lift. Head, neck, and chest. Upper body is going to twist over to the right. And through to center. We are twisting through the bra line, through the mid-ribs, from shoulder blade to shoulder blade. Keeping the feet anchored, the legs still, And the hips and the low back don't move as the chest and the shoulders rotate from side to side. Nice smooth movement, nice smooth rotation, weighting the hips evenly. And the distance between the ribs and the hips stays the same, no matter which side you're rotating to. Last rotation each side. One more right. Last rotation left. And we slow to unwind. Bringing the legs back to tabletop position, hugging through inner thigh. We're going to bring our arms straight up towards the ceiling. We're going to add some arm circles to our movements. On the exhale, the arms come down. We fold and lift, head, neck, chest. We pause in that chest lift as the arms go out to a T position, come back up towards the ceiling, and we work that down circle of the arm. Another great moment to put small, lightweight, very lightweight dumbbells into your hands. One more down circle, then we'll reset the upper body back to the mat. Shoulders, head and neck come to the floor. And on the next exhale, the arms lower. We lift the head, neck, and chest, and we pause. Arms come up the middle, circle out to that T, pull into the side of the rib cage, and back up the center. Holding that nice, strong tabletop position, that deep fold at the mid-ribs for the chest lift. Keeping your line of sight between the thighs. Last one. And shoulders, head and neck rest back to the mat. Feet come down to the floor. Let's cross our right ankle over our left. We're going to work into that figure four stretch. I want to isolate and stabilize the low back and the hips. So we'll keep that left foot on the floor. Align the hip bones. We want to make sure that the hips aren't twisting as you're trying to move the leg in the hip. So right knee twists away. Keeping the hips nice and stable, nice and still as that right leg moves. Pull the rib cage in. You still want that little space between your low back and the floor. And we're allowing the upper leg on the right side to twist in that right hip. We'll bring our left leg up to tabletop. And again, track the low back, track the hips as that right leg twists away from the chest, away from the shoulders. If you've got good stability in the pelvis and in the low back, you can now grab the back of the left leg with your left hand, right hand to the right knee, and you're going to press away. So you have this oppositional kind of vice force working to move the knee away as you pull the left leg forward against the side of the shin. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll unwind. We'll put that right foot down. We'll cross our left ankle over the right leg. And again, come back to your waist, come back to your hips, check the alignment, and then start to allow that left leg to twist. Start to look for imbalances. Maybe one side has a lot more movement than the other, or movement in certain ranges. Maybe one leg can really come in, but it can't twist out and away. Keep that level pelvis. And then we'll bring that right leg up to tabletop position. And again, try to press, fire and engage those muscles to twist that left knee away. If you've got good stability, grab the right thigh with the right hand, left hand to that left knee, and we'll push and pull. Pull the right leg to you as you press the left knee away. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow to unwind and reset. We'll go to butterfly pose, soles of the feet together, knees fall out to the side, arms come out to a T, let everything sink and fall into the floor. And slow to unwind. Knees are bent, feet are flat. Let's interlace our fingers, bring our hands behind our head for that support. And we'll fold at the mid-ribs to lift the head, neck, and chest. Let the head rest back into your hands. Right leg is going to come up to tabletop. There's some good pressure in my left foot pushing down to engage the hamstring. Feel the obliques fire up that left side. Right leg reaches for the ceiling, and we lower that right leg and lift. Now, of course, you can do this out of the chest lift, flat on your back. But we inhale to lower that right leg and exhale to lift. Nice and smooth movements up and down that center line. And we'll bring that right leg to tabletop. And we're going to rotate through the mid-ribs to the right shoulder and back to center. Twisting only to the right. 3, 2, and 1. Resting the right foot back to the mat. Let's reset the upper body, shoulders and head to the floor. And next breath, we fold and lift, head, neck, and chest, bringing the left leg to tabletop and extending it up towards the ceiling. That left leg lowers nice and long and slow as it lifts. Nice and smooth with that left leg moving in the hip. And then we'll bring that left knee to tabletop, and we're going to rotate through the mid-ribs to the left only. And we twist for 3, 2, and 1. Slow to reset the upper body, foot back to the floor, arms come nice and long down by your side. I'm going to walk my feet closer to my sit bones, not too close. We're going to work back into our pelvic curl. A little bit of extension in the hips and in the back. And we're going to tilt the hips back, peel and curl up off of the mat. Send the knees, the shins forward once again towards the toes as you lift the hips up. We're going to hold here and then try to press the hips higher. We'll add some back extension and then we'll lower to a nice neutral line, staying in that bridge. Inhale to brace and extend. And then back to that neutral line, resetting the arms and shoulders as needed. A lot of hamstring glute engagement as you lift into that extra extension. We'll go for 3 more. Curling and rolling down along the spine. We'll reach the legs out nice and long. Arms come up overhead without the rib cage flaring and the upper back lifting. And inhale, the arms come forward. We lift head, neck, and chest, and then exhale to curl and roll. Rolling forward, stretching out over the legs, reaching out nice and long. Trying not to over shrug the shoulders, and then we're going to exhale once again, curl and roll back, piece by piece, along the spine, down the mat, curling back flat to the floor. We reach the arms overhead, and once again, arms flow forward. On that inhale, as you lift, head, neck, and chest, fold deep at the mid-ribs as you draw your abdominals in, and we reach out long over the legs. And exhale, curl and roll back as you slide the shoulders down, tilting the hips back, rolling along the spine. One more roll up. Inhale as the arms flow forward, chin to chest, folding at the mid-ribs, curling and rolling up, creating that rounding in the back, but taking the shrug out of the shoulders so the neck stays long. And we restack the spine, sitting up nice and tall, nice and long. Let's go to a cross-legged position. Crossing the legs, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to bring our hands behind our head, fingers interlace, and we're going to go for a side bend, moving the rib cage up and over to the right to stretch along the side of the body, and then back to center, stretching and lengthening up, and then we take ourselves over to the left, keeping the weight in both hips. One more each side. Last one over to the left. And then hands come forward. We'll walk our hands out and we'll stretch out nice and long, reaching out over the mat. Curling up, resetting the spine, sitting up nice and tall, fingers interlaced behind the back. Open the chest and lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Dropping the head back. 3, 2, 1. And chin to chest, we'll curl and roll forward once again. Walk the arms out as you stretch out over the legs. Reaching out nice and long overhead. One more breath. And then curl and restack. Sitting up nice and tall and long. All right, guys. Awesome work today. Thank you so much.